Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because they agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifted. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. You know what we are here for. We are here so that we can discuss the continuing testimony of Cassie Ventura. For those of you that missed our live yesterday, it was rather lengthy, but very informative, and we had a good time. If you would be so kind as to hit that like button on the way in and subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so already, welcome to all the new subscribers that we got yesterday. I hope you guys enjoy the channel and some of our old content. Peruse through the videos. We have plenty of videos on different topics, and we have various videos on this specific topic as well. I see you guys as you guys come in. See you guys. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Joy. Thank you so much. Nope, I just Willie B said I called you. Yeah, I had court all morning. So yeah, I literally just got off, and then I had a client that I had to, get together real quick. Cause apparently he ain't know where I was from. No, I'm joking. Good to see you, Tanja, Amir, Jojo. Good to see you. Said Pam, I was just about to tell him about Diddy lawyer's latest motion to not allow prosecutor to speak with Cassie. Yeah, I saw that. So what they're probably, because in theory, so the prosecutors represent the state. So I think what they're trying to do is to try to prevent uh cleaning up of any testimony. You know what I'm saying? So Cassie has I seen her attorney, her civil attorney that was there. So that's probably what they're trying to do, is just prevent conversations with the government, with witnesses or whatever, because that's not really their clients. If it makes sense. So anyway, yeah, nope, I get it. I'm gonna go look on the docket in 1 second. Thank you so much, Only Me 23, for gifting that membership. Let me look on the docket right quick. I'm late, y'all. I'm late. I was working all day. These people are taking up my YouTube time. But I will say court was very efficient. I was not waiting too long. So I can appreciate judges that appreciate my time. So shout out to them over there in Detroit. Let me see here. Let's see what we're looking at. What is today? Today's the 14th. So this was filed yesterday because the last filing. Oh, let's see. Jesus. A letter was May 13th. Sean Combs. This was a response. Jesus. Opposition to defense request to limit witness communication with counsel. Okay. All right, let me pull this letter up right quick. You guys get acquainted with each other, with all the rest of the social media jurors on here. What so I see their response to it. Let me pull up their response. The government respectfully submits this letter in opposition to the defendant's request that witnesses be prohibited from communicating with their attorneys during, like their own attorneys. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I thought they were talking about the government. So yeah, they're trying to stop them from, because everybody that's testifying probably has their own independent attorney. That's why I was thinking maybe they didn't want them to communicate with the state. To have conversations. So they want to prohibit them from communicating with their attorneys during breaks and cross-examination. And making his request, the defendant cited no cases holding that third-party witnesses should be prohibited from speaking with their independent counsel during breaks and cross-examination. Rather, the defendant, which related only to whether a testifying defendant can be prohibited from speaking with counsel during a 15-minute afternoon recess. The Supreme Court also emphasized that while a short prohibition of communication between a testifying defendant and counsel may be permissible, an overnight prohibition violates the Sixth Amendment. As long as the defendant is provided unfettered access to his attorney during subsequent overnight breaks, a midday 1 hour ban on discussing ongoing testimony is likely to interfere only in minimal ways. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not reading all this. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why they would even. What? You don't want them to talk to their own lawyers? Anyway, you said he was a trash person, so whatever happens to him happened. Thank you so much, Jay, for being so open minded. Thank you so much. No, we just got here. Someone made a comment, so I was literally looking it up in real time. But you guys know why we're here. We are here so that we can start going over this testimony. You said I can't tell. I don't think usually if you're a member, your Sonia, you'll be lit up in green. So you're probably not a member. But I appreciate you being over here for the entire time because I only been on for about 3 years. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Patty, you want me to be Lady Asia? Mm-mm. Hey, Queen Ro from NO. Good to see you. All right, y'all. As you come in, please make sure you hit the like button. If one of the mods that are on here, if you can, what is this? Viewing. Somebody died. What is this? Oh, that sucks. Ooh, that threw me off. If one of the mods could put the link to the membership in the chat, that would be great. Thank you again for another super sticker, Sonya. I appreciate that. All right, I see y'all. All right, y'all. So, as you guys know, the testimony continued this morning with there was a brief issue, I think, first. And then after that, Cassie started with her testimony. So we're gonna go over the testimony, then we'll probably do a story time or something after that. Because I think with some of the emails I get, people assume that perhaps I don't relate to anything because I know how to separate my emotions to my job because I was trained to do that. So we're going to have a little story time. We're going to have a little story time later. But right now, let's pull this up and let's get into it. Let's get into it. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. J80. Yes, let's be live. Let's go live. Child, we just started. You, Darius, you gonna ask me about beating the case and we on day 3? Defense haven't even put on a case yet. I mean, obviously the prosecution looks like they're winning because they're the only one that put on any case right now. So anyway, let's get started because we 3 hours behind because we just started. But all rise. This is Judge Submarinian. We have a note from juror about a scheduling accommodation. What about Miss Ventura's husband? So then the government, and let me say this too. This is why I like being in the courtroom, because even though I think inner city press does a great job, there are things that weren't there are things left out. Like, obviously, this isn't a transcript, so you're not getting line by line. So he's probably just pulling out what he thinks is important. But I did hear some more meat to some things, like Cassie gave the processes of a freak off and how it starts, and how, what happens next and what happens next and what happens next. And I don't recall that, us going through that. So there are people that are there that are able to get some, insight if they take really good notes. Because when I take my notes, I would have had every little detail, what color they had on. But I get it. He's tweeting this out, and he's one of the only ones. So the thing is this: he probably has permission to do so, because he is a person and I'm talking about the person at Inner City Press. He is an independent journalist who travels all through the New York state courts and the federal court. So he probably has some type of permission, because their local rules prohibit you having, being able to have phones and all of that. And if you walk in there, because I'm an attorney, I'm able to keep my phone when I was at the Southern District. However, all of those people, even the YouTubers that came when I was there for the Whitehead trial, they took their phones, and you have to go back to security and have it on your way out. That's why you get so many like YouTubers that are coming on after everything is over, because they cannot live tweet or do anything because they don't have their phones. So this person has in certain circumstances you can get special permission. And so he has special permission, obviously, because he's actually in the courtroom tweeting it out. So yeah. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Listen to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. Let me go in here. So basically, let me go to the government. He will be removed from the courtroom before a certain issue comes up. The judge said good. So they've talked about the husband. So before they talk about post issues, meaning after 2018, when the relationship between Cassie and Diddy ceased, then Cassie's husband has to leave the courtroom. Okay. So then the judge asked, have the privacy screens been installed? And the government says they are being installed by court tech staff. So the judge said, on the conferring with counsel issue, I tend to agree with Ms. Shapiro. So then the government said, what about conferring about questions about privilege? So then for Combs, Alexander Shapiro said, I'm concerned that during the break, there could be generalized discussions about the testimony and might come up. We are going to try to avoid any privileged communications. So then the government said, during Mr. Phillips' testimony, I spoke with his lawyer. So then the government said, we anticipate these witnesses being on cross-examination for multiple days. We need to speak with them about security and transportation. So the judge said, well, Ms. Shapiro, can you drop something on a piece of paper, an instruction you would have me give? So then the government said, the defense has sent us a zip of files of text messages. We are reviewing them before raising it. So the judge said, I appreciate that. So then the government said, the defense has still not shown us exhibits they may use in cross examination of Ms. Ventura. We are worried this will continue. So now the government is concerned because the defense hasn't turned over what their exhibits are going to be. This is the same government that superseded indictments 2 times close to the trial, but I digress. But they somehow feel like, I guess, they're being blindsided by not knowing exactly what the exhibits are going to be used. So then for Combs, Ms. Estavio said, we are making several chains of text messages. They had these documents in their possession for 8 months before we got them. So they're saying that whatever they're going to use in their exhibits, the government already has them because they had them before they had them. So then the judge said, "We are here. We were told there's a half day left of direct. Could you give them at lunch? So can you give the actual exhibits at lunchtime?" So the defense said, "Well, our paralegal was printing them out." So then the government said, "They should have turned over these exhibits to us on April 27th. And the judge said, "Miss Garagos handling this issue. We did have a schedule. As you marked them, why shouldn't you be required to turn them over?" So then Agnifilio answers and says, "Rule 16 does not contemplate these carve outs. We are not behind the eight ball on this. We have complied with Rule 16. I would be surprised if the government only has another 3 hours with Miss Ventura, but whatever." So you got a little toot there. So then Agnifilo said, "We don't think it's required, but we'll do it. We don't think we got to turn it over right now, but we'll do it. Luckily, we have a sizable defense team, so we can do it." Sizable is definitely, Then the judge says, "Miss Comey, what do you want?" And the government, who is Miss Comey, says, "We want their exhibits, not a trial by ambush." How is it a trial by ambush if they telling you you had it already? You just want them to let you know what they plan on using? She said, "I want them now. I will find the case." The government bad. They want these exhibits right now. So then the judge said, "You don't have to put it in a letter. You can just email me the cases and I'll take a look at them." Then the judge said, "We have a witness waiting in the back. Produce them before the cross examination starts. You can email me cases during the trial day. Let's get moving. Let's get Miss Ventura back." So then that's when she took the stand. Okay. All right. So that was the discussion beforehand. If y'all need to block people, you know what I'm saying? Then y'all can. Cecile Noble, thank you so much for the super sticker. So Shell asked, why does the husband need to leave? So the defense is anticipating, depending on Cassie is alleging, I think in 2018, that she was RAPE'd by Diddy. And also, I guess there are other incidents that they'll be talking about that are after the relationship with Diddy, which means she would have been with her husband. They feel like they may need to put the husband on the stand after Cassie's testimony. So what they don't want is for her husband to be sitting in the courtroom so he can frame his testimony to fit with his wife's testimony. So that's called a sequestration. If you have not testified already and it's anticipated that you testify, typically they don't even let you in the courtroom at all. But I guess in this situation, because she didn't meet him till 2018 and a lot of the testimony was prior to that, they allowed him to be in the courtroom, but they don't want him in the courtroom post. And they may not have known he was going to come and just listen to all of this. But I don't know, so. Yes. Nah, I want them now. I give me the exhibits now. That's kind of like how they were signing a little. I hope that answers your question, Shell. Thank you so much. All right. Yes, please be respectful in the chat because I hate to have to time you out, but I don't. I don't discriminate. My mods are very, very nice. So if it's to their discretion. So if they end up timing you out, it's a wrap. Being her husband, do we believe that? Yeah, they're definitely discussing things. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Thank you so much, Shea. I appreciate that. All right, let's get back to now she's taking the stand. And the judge says, "Welcome back." So then they all rise. So now the juries, they come in with their notepads, marching in, trying to avoid all contact with everybody in this gallery. No, don't want to look at the defendant. Go over there, sit down. They probably got their little. So they enter. So then the judge looks at Cassie and says, "You're still under oath. You may proceed." So then the government says, "May I approach the witness?" So basically, she's probably going to hand her something. And the judge says, you may. So the government says, Miss Ventura, I just handed you 2 drives. What is on them? The GX8. Cassie said, messages and photos from my devices. So then the government says, yesterday you testified about Sean going armed to look for Suge Knight. Cassie said, Sean took guns with him. So then the government said, and he told you to ask the escorts if they were cops? So she said, I would begin by saying I was not a cop. So the government said, Sean told you to do that? Yes. What happened when you fought back? She said, I did that more earlier in the relationship. It would make him more violent, want to push me harder. So the defense said, objection to the speculation. I mean, that's kind of after the answer. So she already answered the question. They probably should have moved that objection up a notch before she answered. But anyway, the judge overruled it anyway. Um, I don't know how that's speculation, but okay. And the judge overruled it, which means that he didn't agree with that objection. How would Sean react if you fought back? She said, anger. So then the government said, I'm going to show you the LA Intercontinental Hallway again. So now they're going to play the video. Oh, they are. If Diddy was able to get that video out, that would probably have been a big chunk of the government's case. I see why they fought so hard. They used it to keep him in jail for the bond, and they're using it quite frequently throughout this first few days of trial. So anyway, I'm going to show you the LA Intercontinental Hallway again. So then they play from 1 minute and 43 seconds to 1 minute and 46 seconds. So then they said, who enters? Sean. What's in his hand? He doesn't appear to have anything. Now they go up to 1 minute and 59 seconds and they said, now anything in his hand? She says, my phone. How did he get it? Well, he took all of my stuff. So then the government said, where does he end up? Sitting in a chair in front of the window. What are you doing? I'm walking away from him. Now who's in the video? Me and security. In this one play from 5 minutes and 31 seconds, where did you go from the hotel? Cassie said, to my house. I took an Uber. So then the government said, now let's turn to text messages. Can you read page 4? Cassie said, please call. I'm surrounded. Okay, so then the government said, who sent that? Cassie said, from Sean. He was running around in a towel. I told him to put a robe on. Then the government said, who sent these green messages? Cassie said, I did. I wrote to Sean, quote, Jules left. As long as you're quiet, you can stay. Peace. So then the government said, well, who was Jules? She said, an escort. So then the government said, is this Jules? Holds up a photo. And then Cassie said, yes. And then they show up some more side by side, and it got Cassie with sunglasses on pictures. And she said, that's me, a selfie of me with a fat lip. And the government said, when did you take it? And Cassie said, in the Uber with one of my phones. So then the government said, well, what did you write here? And Cassie said, I said, please stay away from me. And the government said, and what does he say? Cassie said, he says, I'm getting arrested. And the government said, was he? She said, I don't think so. What did he write back? What did you write back? And she said, plugging my phone in and going to bed. So then the government said, well, who was at your home when you got there? She said, Carrie Morgan. She was upset when she saw me. She called the police. So then the government said, did you speak with them? She said, yes, but I didn't say who I was talking about, and they left. The government said, why? She said, I wasn't ready. So she's had, according to this, she had incidents of which her friend called the police because she had a fat lip on cones. And they asked her, well, who did this to you? And she wouldn't give a name. So it wasn't even anything the police could do. Willie J said, I do not care if you have different choices in the bedroom, but this is not what he seems to be doing with all these different people. If you have to drug people, that is not a willing adult. That's what Willie J said. Steve said, why is the federal court still allowed to hide the trials from the people, violating freedom of the press by not allowing cameras? So the state and the federal, like I said, they've never, federal has never allowed you to record physically. Now when I've had oral arguments, I can get my actual recording. Also, they still do some things on Zoom. So like not too long ago, I was able to view a case on, it was in California, and they allowed the public to watch it on Zoom and on a federal case in California, but they've never allowed recordings in there. You've always had sketches. So if you have a trial in federal court and it's your first time having a federal trial, they have sketches. Like a lot of attorneys, you'll see like the sketches of you when you're up there, doing your thing, doing your oral arguments. So it's just always been there. It's a part of their court rule. You're allowed to come in there. You're allowed to take notes and certain of course, and then there's certain special privileges that they'll give some journalists, but no, they've never allowed cameras. So it's not specific to Sean Combs, I think that people are saying, like, oh, you're hiding the ball. No, this has been their protocol. They would actually be breaking their protocol if they allow cameras in there. So nothing special, nothing to see here. Hey, good to see you. Of course, of course, of course. So all these people saying who should have helped her or whatnot needs to stop. People tried to help her and she wasn't ready and didn't want to help at the time. So that's what it sounds like. It sounds like she had people around. So some people did know she was getting, she was physically abused. And just like other abuse victims, because of course she's not the first, they have to make that choice. I've had friends where they were in situations and I was called to those situations. And after a while, I stopped doing it. Like, you're like, I'm not going to get caught up in these because I'm ready to butt. Like, you take the top, I take the bottom, and we going to pack your bags and we rolling. But if they're not ready to do that, it's nothing you can do. All you can do is be like, okay, let me come bring the ice and put it on your head. And I've done it a couple of times. Or they leave them, they let them go for one day, then 2 3 days they're back in the house. And then there are women that are violent too, and it goes both ways. So that is something that they have to be ready to do when you're a DV relationship. And that's why I say everyone is different and how they approach it. Some people, one hit, they out the door. And those are the ones that ask the question of, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave? Because that's who they were. They were taught you don't let someone put their hands on you. Then you got people that they were in environments where abuse was okay. And so it becomes a cycle, especially in families where it becomes a cycle where your mama was abused, your grandma was abused, and you get an abusive relationship because then they're taught. I remember being like a kid and I had a friend who was dating somebody that was probably 10. We was only like 14 or 15. She was dating somebody about 10 years older and he was like hitting her. And I'm like, girl, like, why are you letting this dude, like, you ain't got no brothers? Like, why are you letting them hit you? And she said her mama told her that that men that love you hit you because they care about you. So we may look at things like in a strange manner, but that's why I try to get you guys to see that you cannot look at situations from your own lens and your own experience because other people have experiences. I heard like in the chat, people were making comments such as, okay, I understand people are freaky, but 3 4 days is too long. And da 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 da, saying that that's from your lens. There are people out here that do marathon. You think Sean just made this up on his own? And one of the things Cassie said is she was afraid he would just get somebody else to do it. So she wanted to do it because she wanted to keep him. She testified to that yesterday. So if she's concerned and he's done this before, apparently there were other women that was down for the cause too. So there are people that do this. Just because it's not your cup of tea does not mean that's not what other people do. And so that's what I try to get people to understand. It's not to, I think he, again, there was a power dynamic, and I think this is what they're trying to relay. But as some of you guys know, Ryan Leslie, who was her boyfriend, was older than her too. He was probably what, like 8 years? Not, I think he's like my age. He's like 8, 9 years older than her. So she likes older men, apparently. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to debate whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, you have to look at things from different angles and not just your own and your own experience. So, yeah. Ray Ray said, I had a friend that allowed her baby daddy to abuse her, and her rationale was, well, he's not my husband, but if he was my husband, it would be a different story because we were married before God. Okay, well, Sunflower said, I'm curious at what type of relationship she had with her parents. So somebody also told me, and again, this is alleged because I don't know how true it is. Her mom found out about the abuse as well. And allegedly she tried to call the police on him at one point and it became an issue. So I don't really know, but it sounds like some people knew about this. So Elite Leo said 3 or 4 days sound like when people are on drug binge, so they were on drug binges and freaking. Yeah, because you stay up, like she said, when you take these drugs, like one of the lawsuits from, I think was it Don Richard? She was saying when he would take drugs, they would be in the studio for hours, like days in the studio, and she got to a point where she was malnourished and dehydrated and had to go to the hospital. And that would be times when he took drugs. So because he was so high and couldn't like go to sleep, he's like, let's get this work done. We ain't about to waste no time. And made everybody else be in there doing it, but they not on drugs. But they got to be in the studio because you up and about. So yeah, drugs gives you a different type of stamina. Mile High Diva said her parents were on the dole and complicit. Oh, okay. I don't know that to be true. I don't know these people. I, you say that's what I'm saying. When I tell y'all my story, you guys will know my love stance, but because it ain't like people ain't tried it in my life. I'm just saying that you cannot, you just cannot, let me see, hold on, base things on how you would do it, especially if you're in the legal, like if you're a juror, you need to pay attention to, did they prove these elements in this statute? That's what your job is as a juror. Hold on one second. Let's see. All right, let's get back to this. Hey Tracy, she said, I got 6 brothers that jump people for fun. I have been lucky to never experience DV. I feel you. I feel you. All right, let's go on. So she said she wasn't ready. So then the government said, did Sean try to come to your apartment? And Cassie said, yes, he was banging. That was pretty normal from him, but that's a pretty private building. So the government says, did you hear from Miss Corin that day? Remember Christina Corin or KK? She said, yes. And I went to see D Rock and his wife to try to feel safe. So she allegedly went to his homeboy, I guess D Rock, the one who she said went to ride out with him, I guess, with the whole Suge thing, because that's where she would feel safe after the hotel incident. So then the government said, in this photo, what are you wearing? She said, a gown and sunglasses. I had a black eye. So the government said, what if any other bruising was visible? She said, I had several bruises on my leg, but I changed clothes. So then the government said, well, what's this? Me and Shot at the after party. So she, on this laptop, she has a lot of pictures that it sounds like she took pictures of like her being bruised up, black eyes. She had evidence. She kept evidence on a thumbnail. It sounds like, of like different times of which you can physically view that she was being abused. So then the government says, I'm going to show you escorts. Do you know the name of this person? She said, no. In what city did you use them? New York. Who's this? Islander. He was a Latin man. We used him in LA and maybe Vegas. Well, who's this? This is exhibit 2A-616. She said, we called him Tommy. Well, who is this? Oh, I know him as Greg, an escort in Miami. Who is this? Jonathan. We saw him in Miami. Who is this? I don't know. He looks familiar from the freak offs. So what did you write here? This is all we do. I'm just getting back on track. I'm sure you can call Kim or something. Didn't I tell you guys Kim was always around? And she always was. So Roger Bond, who was the security guard who was mentioned in her lawsuit, he gave a story one time where he said that Diddy was telling him that he was confused because he loved Cassie, but he really loved Kim, and Cassie wanted to get married. And so he didn't know what to do, whether he should marry Cassie. If he chose to settle down and get married, because he said he was at that point, should it be Cassie or should it be Kim? Roger said apparently he must have butt dialed Cassie and he had it playing. And he told Diddy, well, you got your kids by Kim. You probably should go ahead and marry Kim. So he said after that point, he had a decent rapport with Cassie, but because Cassie heard that, she kind of was side-eyeing him and they weren't as cool as they were. So that was kind of like the turning point, I guess, in their relationship, because she overheard him recommend that he be with Kim instead of her. So then she said, what do you mean this is all we do? She said, freak offs. So when she said, well, this is all we do, you only call me for the freak offs. And was like, so, because this all we do now at this point is these freak offs. So then the government said, did you try to avoid anything in the freak offs? She said, I tried to avoid kissing. It seems too intimate. But Sean told me to do it, to kiss the escorts. So then the government said, what did Sean ask you to do on your 29th birthday? She said, a freak off. Then the government said he had me pulled out of the Blind Dragon for the freak off, some security. What about blackmail material? He wanted me to fear objection. The judge said overruled. When would Sean mention the freak off videos? To hurt me. So then Cassie said, one time I was dating someone else and he threatened to release the freak off videos. I'd have to answer to my mother. It's horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone. So then the government said, what did Sean say the impact would be? She said, shame. So then the government says, let me show you a chat. Who's on it? She says, me and Sean, July 22nd, 2013. So then she read the message. So Cassie says, I wrote, please delete the videos off your phone. Too many people have access to your devices. He said, no iCloud, all good, Ambien kicking in. So then it looks like it was a sidebar. And then at 11:10, the judge has taken a break to change some things in the courtroom. During the break, Combs sits at the defense table, his lawyer Xavier Donaldson leaning down to speak with him. So then the government says there's still some issues with the privacy screen. So we'll put that off and do something else now. So then the judge said, okay, welcome back, Miss Ventura. Bring in the jury. So the government says, I offer more exhibits. The government says, what did you say here? Cassie said, I've been told there was a sexually explicit video out there about me. I reached out to Sean. Then what? We were driving back to NYC from Atlantic City to talk to this DJ. Government said, did that happen? Did that happen? She said, at a restaurant. The government said, what was security's role? To intimidate. They were lining the room. Who was there? Uncle Pauline and James Cruz. How would you recover from freak offs? I take opiates. I wanted to feel numb. We'd get massages, IV fluids. The chef would cook us something. Then the government said, how often did you take opiates after freak offs? She said, often. I got urinary tract infections. The government said, were the UTIs painful? She said, very. Antibacterials didn't even work anymore. The government said, and how did it feel during freak off? She said, burning. I would not advise it. So she was like, I guess having freak offs while she still had UTIs. And she said it felt like it was burning. And she said, well, the government said, let's read this out loud. She said, I have all these sores on my tongue. I have another UTI. The government said, what sores? She said, friction in my mouth. From what? Oral sex. So then the government said, you said another UTI, then a sad face emoji. She said, yes, I was open with him about them. So you were sick? She said, why are you sorry? I took the blame for things. So the government is showing like if she was this messed up, there is no way she was doing this because she wanted to. Like this was of her own volition. But can you still not really want to do something and it still not be considered force? Because I think it's times that people are intimate and you really don't want to because you're tired or whatever, but you like, all right, my partner wanted, so all right. You know what I'm saying? But I think they're trying to just paint the picture that she couldn't have wanted to because she has all these issues that's going on. Oh yeah. This is horrible. Yes, it is. Cookie K said, is Cassie a little slow or something? Serious question. Sherman says she could have left. The male escort should suit Cassie and Diddy. Snoop Alicious said, I'm behind in the chat, but I have employees in abusive relationship for years and will not leave. Yeah, and sometimes the police will tell you that they'll be like, you need to get out of this. I know. And they still stay. Like you can't make anybody leave these relationships. And it sounds like people told her she should leave and she just didn't. She said she wasn't ready. She left when she was ready. I think it was something like she seen him with a woman or something. And so that was her last time. And by that time, she was with her trainer, like training. So he probably was already flirting with her and telling her, you ain't got to be with this fool. She probably started confiding in him. So she probably felt more confident, and leaving him at that point. Okay, so the government said, which escort would go to X sex clubs with you and Sean? And she said, Jules. So the government said, the escort from the Intercontinental in LA? Yes. Did you want to have sex with Jules ever? She said no. And she laughed. Now they put that in here that she laughed. But I knew him. Why did you do it, Sean? The government said, who was present when Sean put his hands on you at freakouts? She said, sometimes the escort was there too. In the same room? Yes, Jules. And in the suite? Yes. Were they aware? Objection. Overruled. Yes. So then Cassie said the escorts would ask me if I was okay afterwards. In what city did he put his hands on you? You see, they doing this across the line thing, okay? They're letting you know it was in multiple states. New York, LA, and Miami. How frequently? Too frequently. What's the Abbey? It's a gay club in LA. I went there with my friend. The government said, where were you going? To a music festival in Canada run by Drake. Sean came to my home and tried to attack me. I was thrown into the bed frame. What's this? A photo of my eye afterward. Who took you to the doctor? D-Rock. Now, what is interesting is it looks like she is photographing every time he does this stuff and keeping a whole compilation, documentation of everything that he's doing to her. Did you send this photo to Sean? She said, yes. And I wrote, so you can remember, I wanted him to be sorry about it at least. So then the government said, in this photo, where were you? She said, in the green room in Toronto, I put my hair over my eye. Then we went to the Hamptons. Cassie said, Sean wanted to have a freak off in the Hamptons. We got a hotel and an escort. Which one? Dave. I took GHB. I went into a G hole and blacked out. I woke up nude in the shower. Dave and Sean were freaking out. I bugged out. It wasn't pretty. Ooh! She said she woke up and seen Dave and Sean. Then what? I spoke to a friend of Sean's and then we had a freak off. What's this? My eyebrow healed up a little bit. A week later, I have a permanent scar on my eyebrow. What's this? Me at the Canis Festival? And then the government said, what happened there? Sean accused me of taking drugs from his boat. He threw me off, but my passport was still on the boat. The government said, and you were on the red carpet that same night? Yes. Did you attend the movie? Yes. So, how did you get back to New York? On a commercial flight. I traded my seat to get away, but he traded to get next to me. And what did he show you? Freak off videos. He played them for me on one of his laptops. He said he'd release them. The government said, and how did you feel? She said, trapped. When you landed in New York, what did you do? She said, we went to a dinner. Then he wanted to have a freak off, so we had a freak off. Ain't this much sex in the world? My gosh, Diddy. Why did you do it? To make him not threaten me. Then the government said, let's read these from June 13, 2013. Had Sean been violent with you before this? She said, yes. Had you told him before you didn't want to do freak offs? She said, yes. You said you needed GHB. Yes. And that too escort's not available. She said, I wrote only Paul available or Jake, the white guy, but he can't do until 11. The other guy can do earlier. It's just one more person knowing our secret. So the government said, what did you mean? The freak offs. What is SLS, a hotel in Hollywood? Let me see what y'all saying, because my God, today. Okay. Vonnie said, if you've never been in a DV situation, it's easy for you to say someone is dumb. They could have left, but what you don't understand is they abuse start with the mind and threats is no joke. Okay, this is a good time for me to tell my story because I think people just assume that other people have not been in these type of situations and just made other choices, because that is not the truth. So again, everybody is different, and we're not knocking anybody that makes other choice, that makes, that how long it takes for you to get out of it. But I think a lot of people that say that it's because they may have been in a situation, they chose another route. I think people just assume because you make certain comments you couldn't have experienced it, and that's not the truth. So let's have a story time. When I was like 19 or 20, I used to work. I wish my best friend, I don't even know if she probably at work. I was like 19 or 20, right? And I was working at a place. I was in college. And so in the summertime, I would, like, basically my grants and stuff covered everything. So I ain't had much to do. So my friend was like, "Hey girl, why don't you come work with me at my job?" I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll make the little extra money." So we go to the job. I apply, get the job. So there was a guy who was at a temp service, and he came to the job. And he started flirting me and all that, asked me to go out. He said he was just there for the summertime because he was going to school at like Hampton or something, one of the HBCUs. He was there. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we end up going out, and he lived around the corner from me. So I thought, but we'll get into that. So he said he lived around the corner from me. We went out a couple of times. Everything was fun. Everything was cool. So I went over to his house, which was a few blocks away. And I'm like, "Dang, I can't believe I never met you before. Like, you live in my neighborhood." Everything was all cool. And the house just, you know how some houses just look like a woman. And he was saying it was his house. So I'm like, "Dang, this house looked like a woman that decorated. Everything is all, girly and pretty and stuff." So we hung out for a while. He had an adopted mother. I met his sister. We used to go to his sister's house all the time. It was different houses we went to. Everything was cool, right? Cool guy. So then I just saw a little bit of crazy. After some months, I started seeing a little bit of crazy. So it was time to go back to school, and I'm like studying for finals in the library. So dude started calling my phone, like he kept calling over and over and over and over and over. And he was like, "I want to see you. I haven't seen you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm studying for finals." Like, bro, when I met you, you were in school. So he alleged that he had to take like a gap year or do something because something happened with his financial aid. So that was the reason why he didn't go back to school. I'm like, "Okay, cool." So he's calling and calling. And I'm like, "Okay, he doing too much." So I broke up with him. I'm like, "I can't, like, this is too much. I'm in college. I'm trying to do my thing. And you want to keep calling me like this? Like, this is insane." So he said he calls and he's crying. He about to off himself, all of this. So I still care for the guy. So I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm at my cousin's house." And he said, "So I want you to come over." I go over his cousin's house, and his cousin, so it's his aunt's house and his cousin is there. I go over there, and it was all an ambush to basically fight me, right? Because I broke up with him. Never been through this a day in my life. You guys know how, like on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, how they grab, like, how like Uncle Phil would grab Jazzy and throw him out the house. Dude, when I walked to the door, they literally came, grabbed me, and threw me down the stairs. I'm like, "What is happening right now?" So he was like, "Yes, this, like, now mind you, you just crying and snotting on the phone. You about to unalive yourself. Now everything is fine because I'm there." So then he's like, "Give me your keys. You're not going anywhere." So I'm in the basement, like, what in the world is happening? Like, just a totally different person. So I'm down there, and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to be with me? I should smack her, shouldn't I?" This how he talking to his cousin. He's like, "I should smack her, shouldn't I?" Lo and he was like, "Psh," smack me, right? So I flew across the bed. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, this like the real deal." So I'm fighting him. I'm fighting him. It ain't like I'm winning, right? Because this is a man. But he knew I was there. He knew I was there. I wasn't just no punk. So then eventually I'm like, "God, I just got to get him off of me so I can get up out this house." So I kick him, right? I kick him with my shoes, with my heels on. I kick him, he falls, he goes over, he stumbles over. So I grab my keys, run up out of the house, leave. Ain't tell, like, really didn't tell anybody about it or whatnot. I was like, I can't believe this fool. I can't believe I just went through this. And see, the thing is this, I got a daddy and I got brothers, and it's no talking with them. Like that type of situation, I had to weigh, do you want your brother or your daddy to end up going to prison because you made a wrong choice by dating this dude? You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really say nothing. He kept calling, all of that. Even like he wrote a letter, left it in my mama's mailbox, told my mama I was like, he was crazy. He was like stalking me. So I went to church one day and I'm sitting on the church steps, and then I go back in the church to get something. I come back out, my windshield is like demolished. Demolished. So the way the hole looked, I thought he literally powed my windshield. So I go into church, and many of you guys know my dad's a pastor. So I go into church and I'm like, Dad, somebody shot up my windshield. Everybody say my dad's dress shoes is his gym shoes because he don't play that. So by this time, I can't even fake the funk. Like I got a crazy on me. So he ends up, my dad comes running out, all the associate pastors. Mind you, we just had church, so everybody in their dress shoes. They running out. I'm like, they got bats and crowbars and everything, trying to see like who just came. I'm like, I was just outside. So I knew in my mind he had been watching me, because how did you know as soon as I go into church to bust my windshield? So we go, and of course he's gone. So my dad was like, I had to tell him the story about, he was like, so why you ain't tell me? Like, why did you try to deal with this on your own? So he said, what we gonna do is we're gonna make a report at the police department, because if he comes near you, you taking him out of here. Like that he was like, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he come near you, he out of here. It's whichever one of me, you, your brothers, whoever see him first. That's like how it was. So we go into the police station. We fill out everything. We go to see what to do to get a PPO. And my dad like told him, was like, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all better find him before I do. And the police was just like, well, the unwritten rule is whatever means necessary, right? I'm like, did he just tell the police like, y'all gonna find this dude? So then we go to my mom's house and all the lights are off. In my mom's house, we flicking on the lights and they're all off. Do you know this fool had went and like broke the electrical box off the side of my house, so we wouldn't have no electricity in the house, so we can go in there and be like scared, like people jumping out of corners or what closets or whatever. So by this time, like the block knows about it. I'm from 7 Mile on the east side. So the block knows about it. My brothers, my daddy, everybody, they all in cars. They just all in front of the house like, oh no, we need every address, every place this man has been. Like we need every address, and you need to go stay someplace else, and he gonna know he got the right one this time. So I lived on the east side. I ended up moving on the west side. And they were literally like, people from my neighborhood was sending me pictures of like every house he had ever been to. Like it was crazy, but he was not. I don't know if he was watching us to the point where he knew like, oh, they own me. Like this ain't no average chick that ain't got no support. So they could not find him. So then I move on with my life. For the most part, nobody really saw him. So I go on. And so one day, me and my best friend at that time, Ped, we were in a car at a gas station. Okay. This man sees my car, opens up the back seat, comes in the back seat, was like drive, and he had a pow, was like drive. So we're driving or whatever, and he's like taking us to all these different spots. Now, my best friend, she used to be a little weed head, okay? So she was always like rolling. She was always rolling, but she in the front seat. This man, she don't even care. She's so high, she don't even care what's going on. So she rolling up, whatever. And I remember him in the back seat, like, you need to share, you need to share. She told him, this is a personal. Like, I'm not sharing my blunt. I don't care what GUN you got. I ain't sharing my blunt. It's like, this is a personal. So he was like, basically, I'm gonna unalive you if you don't share your blunt. She said, well, if I die, let me die high. That's like how high this girl was. So, and I ain't never smoked. I ain't tested it. I ain't never did nothing. So we driving and he telling me all these different places to go. Like, go here, go to this store, go do this, go do that. So we go to a store and there was some girls that he was like, you got to come with me because you might take off. So basically, he done kidnapped us, right? So we go in the store and it's some girls there, and he's like, yeah, we gonna have a party at the crib. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to be there. Like, he's flirting with the girls, letting me know you not the only chick or whatever. I just don't like, basically, he just didn't like the rejection. Like, he did not like the rejection because he had other girls. So he said, well, we're gonna go to my cousin's house and we're gonna have this party. So we go over to the cousin's house. We pull up in the driveway and he's like, cousins, he cussing, he doing this and that or whatever. And he told his cousins and them in that, he said, we're going to run a train on her. I don't know what clicked in my head. Now, my friend was willing to die of a weed, but I was gonna risk it all before any of these dirty ninjas was gonna touch me. So I like went berserk. I went so crazy. He ended up halfway stepping out of my car. So it was a bunch of people that were like in the grass, and I like put the car in I thought I was putting it in reverse, but I was so mad I put it in neutral, right? So I'm pressing the gas because I'm about to run everybody over. I done got mad. I'm running. If you in the way, I don't even care if you ain't even involved. I'm just mad. So I'm pressing the car. I'm pressing the gas, and it's in neutral, so I ain't going nowhere. Right? So my friend was like, Pam, you gotta put the calm down, sis. You gotta put the car in reverse. I'm telling you, my friend could tell this story. She'd be like some of the stuff we went through is crazy. I'm like, I was so mad. I couldn't believe like you were really gonna try to take that from me. So I put it in reverse. Everybody was scattering out the way because they was like, this girl is nuts. Pulled out, left, and I don't know what happened to him after that. Never seen him again. Never heard from him again. Never talked to him again. Like nothing like happened. So it kind of pisses me off when people just assume that because like you seem like because you have an opinion on something, you never went through anything. And I've had some crazy stories with people. I've had at least 2 PPOs on people. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that, it's you got to know, first of all, when you have a village, like my brothers and my daddy is crazy. Like, and they always been like that. And I'm not saying like many of you guys are subscribed to his channel. So you know he's a very mild mannered and he's a church person. But when it comes to his family and his daughters, it's always been that way from when I was a little kid. Like I remember somebody broke in my mother's house. This was when they was already divorced. Somebody broke in my mother's house. And when I said that guy's the one they say broke in my house, he stopped in the middle of the street and got out and was like, where's my daughter's stuff at? Like he's just always like something about, and my brothers are like that too. So I always wanted to, and maybe partly that's why I just didn't allow things to go but so far, because I knew that if they found anything out, then that would be how their reaction was going to be. But yeah, so that's my little hood crazy story. Galatians said protection order didn't help you. You really, honestly, to be candid, you get protection orders and make paper trails because if you have to protect yourself, you got to do what you got to do. It's not that the piece of paper is going to help you. It's not like the police are going to come faster. It's not like that. But what you don't want to do is be so isolated that nobody knows anything is happening. And then it gets so dangerous in your life that when that danger happens, they'd be like, we never knew it was abuse. We never knew that. And then you're facing a murder trial and it's really just self defense. So PPOs are a piece of paper, and some people will say it's just a piece of paper. And yes, I know many of people that they didn't have a good outcome, and it's nothing but the grace of God. I don't take that lightly, but you have to know how to protect yourself as well. So that's that. That's it. You said send this over. I'm gonna see if let me see if my friend is home. I ain't talked to her in so long. I'll be like, girl, remember when we got kidnapped? He was crazy. When I say crazy, he was crazy. I don't know if I got her number still in here. Yeah, he was interesting. There she go. Let me see if she answers. I don't know if my brother in the chat. I'm sure he remember it too. Hey, Pep. Don't be saying my whole name. Listen, listen. I'm about to. I'm on my live. I was telling them the story. Remember when I dated that guy that tried to kidnap us?
The crazy one that you had to run over.
I told him, I was like, man, these guys, I was just, yeah.
Yeah, the one who undid the lights from the house and shit. He was real crazy. I remember his name. If we
Okay, don't say his name. I don't know.
Come with a warning label.
She said he need to come with a warning label. I'm telling you.
Literally, I'll never forget that, man.
They saying hey to you. It's like 1,600 people on here. I'm talking about this Cassie stuff. But all right, I'm gonna holler at you later. All right, bye. I gotta have my authority. I'm telling you. You said she was good. Yeah, you said put him on the but people is out here. So, and I've heard worse stories like than mine. And so because of that, that's when I tell y'all, like, I have experiences, plus I've seen things as in my profession. So I have the combination. And some people will look at it like, oh, well, do you still, when I did criminal, I represented some people that did DB. So when I say, but they still got to prove it. Just because one person said it happens doesn't mean that it happened the way they said or that it happened at all. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, like, to separate your emotions, because we know he's trash. The dude I was talking to was trash. We know Diddy's attorneys all but said the same thing. They were like, we know he wasn't a good person. It was domestic violence and all of that. We know that. But then you got to say, well, did the government prove the elements? And I'm not saying yay or nay because we're at the beginning of it. Did they prove their elements as to the specific statute? And sometimes I think it's very hard for people to separate the two. So, minding my business, that I got my stories from my younger years as well. Thank God I have good parents. Yes, it's a blessing to have good. Just over rejection, he was definitely crazy. I wonder. So my dad did a lot of research on him, and after a lot of this stuff happened, and his mom was like had some mental health challenges, and that was partly why he was adopted. So I'm pretty sure he probably had some hatred towards women. And that's why I say stuff like that, because I don't know. To this day, he may have got the help he needed. And that's why I'm not gonna, put his name out there. He may have gotten the help he needed. You know what I'm saying? He may have been to therapy. He may have a whole family, maybe a good dad, maybe, you know what I'm saying? So that's not my intent. I think people can change if you get the right help and you want the help. So I can separate that from like what I do from the legal aspect. That's all I'm saying. So when people like, I'm like, why people just assume I was just walking through rose petals my whole life and every relationship was all creme of the creme and I never had no experiences and Tai said I still want to go looking for him. No. Pam said, why is there no one sitting next to Diddy on trial? I don't know, because they're alleging an enterprise and they're alleging co-conspirators. So I don't know. They don't have to indict everyone. So apparently, maybe they think that Diddy is their strongest case, and that's what they want to do. That's true. He could be, or he could be out of here. And then what was crazy too is what I found out when I looked back. He was stalking the. Remember, I told you the house looked like a woman's house. Um, he was stalking that girl, and we were in her house, and that was somebody he had stalked who he was actually with, probably while we were dating. And then like when I look back, when my dad did research and I was able to find names, it was like 5 different girls that had went and did police reports on her, but nobody followed through with it. Like nobody got PPOs, nobody did anything else than that. They just kind of called the police. So there was like documentation of it. But yeah, I was with him a couple of times when he was stalking somebody else. Like when I look back, I remember us going to a gas station and he was like pumping the gas and he was looking across the street at the house. And while he was looking at the house, a girl came out and it was the car that he had first picked me up in. And I noticed that like once all of this stuff started coming together, I was like, I was basically, he was driving my car. I'm in the passenger side and he's stalking a whole nother chick and I'm in the car. It was a lot. I don't know. I might look him up. You said he might be in jail. I might look him up. All right, let's get back. That was my story time. That was my little break. Let's see what we got going on over here. And that was just for all the people that just think I was out here living in tulips my whole life, because I definitely have not. And yeah. Let's see. Okay, so they must have just like they went to lunch, but it has, the government said, well, when would you take Valiums before a freak off? They have named a lot of drugs, different varying drugs during this trial. And Cassie said, when I had anxiety, Sean's driver was bringing me the Valium. It was Raheem, I think. So then the judge said, jurors, you can take lunch now. Then the judge said, Miss Slavic, we are still disagreement on the exhibits. She said, yes, the defense wants the exhibits to be longer and about masturbation. Okay. And then the defense said they wanted to cut it off at, quote, looking at my iPad. So it sounds like what's happening is the defense, like, they want the complete text, and I guess maybe they wanted to cut it off at a certain time. So then the defense says, we just heard this morning about videos on his device, so this is relevant. So the government said we can agree to more, something less than the 10 pages. And now Hector Fink, for the witness known as Mia, he says there is a jury instruction about victims. So then Hector Fink, a lawyer, Mia would have taken this to her grave. I don't know how to support her if we can't discuss her pain what she went through. We will not put words in her mouth. Her nerves are through the roof. So there's a witness, I guess, that may be coming that's going to discuss this. The judge said, we are trying to prevent witnesses being counseled on how to testify, what to say or not to say. Anything else? Okay, would that be acceptable? Hecker Fink's lawyer said, Hecker Fink lawyer, I'm afraid she'll have a moment, lose it, then ask me, did I forget something? I worry. Now, counsel to Jane Doe says, I am worried that Jane Doe will not know what she can ask me. The judge said, as long as you don't coach testimony. So then Wigdor, remember that was Cassie's attorney in the civil lawsuit, said, I have nothing to add. The judge said, Ms. Shapiro, we've spoken with each attorney. So then they say at 1:53 p.m. they are belatedly back, so they're late. All rise. The judge asked to exhibit 619. The objection to the defendant's proposal is overruled. Let's have Miss Ventura back. Then we'll bring in our jury. So the jury enters, and the government says, I have a binder for the court. The gallery will not be able to see these exhibits. Miss Ventura, I will show you some exhibits. 2A-404. Who is it? She said she worked for Sean. The government said, we will call her Mia. When you gave your devices to the government, were they working? She said, no, they were not. So then the government said, for Miss Ventura and the jury only, what's on your skin? So then the government says, when did Sean first hurt you physically? She said, it started in the first year. The government said, what staffers were present when Sean was physical with you? The defense said, objection, physical is vague. The government said, punching, hitting. When did Sean first use violence on you? She said, in New York City, we were in a car with his security and he knocked me around. The government said, what did he do? She said, he hit me on the side of the head. I fell to the floor of his Escalade. So let me ask y'all this. After knowing all of this about Diddy, just assume for the sake of argument that he gets off. Would y'all support him anymore anyway? Like, do you think that his brand is done? Because the thing is, you're admitting, he's basically admitted to physically beating her. We know that. Is this somebody that anybody is going to support anymore anyway? Just asking. He make you not even want to like Harlem Shake anymore. Y'all said, no, not today, huh? Lovely Truth said, heck no, I've been stopped supporting him. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like, who's going to connect with him brand-wise? This type of stuff would make you lose your brand deals. You need those deals. He needed Ciroc. He needed the Sean John. Like, he needed this stuff in order to have the fortune and the empire that he has. Who's going to want to work with him? Like, who's going to say, I'm in the studio with Diddy right now? Who's going to say that now? So, like, is your career over whether you win, lose, or draw? Because it's a difference if you say she's lying about everything and there's no evidence of physical abuse and all of that. But you're admitting, you have to because of the video. You're admitting to this abuse. So this is going to totally affect your career. You said Boosie. Boosie gonna support him, gonna be in the studio. Well, you said if he get off, will Diddy still be trying to invite people to parties? I'm sure not. People will still support him. Why? You think they'll go to a Bad Boy tour concert? You think they'll still do that? Someone with the same mindset may still deal with him. I think people still work with him. A lot of people don't believe Cassie and think she's doing all of this maliciously. So there's an argument that does every abuser just take photos of everything? She seemed like she did keep evidence of everything he did as if it was being held for future reference. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminds me of like the Shannon Sharp situation where it was something she would say in a text message like, you really hurt me. I said no. And then because he didn't respond, we can all assume like, oh, she told you no and you did it anyway. Like certain paper trails that seems like she made sure she documented it. So I'm wondering if when she said she was writing that book, she attached some of them pictures and text messages and whatnot, and was like, I'm about to attach all this stuff if you don't, buy the exclusive right. All of this stuff is going to be a part of it. It's interesting. You said, yeah, and Max said like Monica Lewinsky. Yes, like she kept. We don't know anybody kept a dress with the evidence, didn't wash it, just kept it. Danielle said, well, she said she took the photos to show him and remind him. That sounds like a good response. So you think he didn't know what he did to her? That's a good, or maybe just in case something happened to her. I wonder if she told someone if something happened to me, Sean did it. That could be a option. Misa was at the court with her son. So I think she was sitting with the family. So yeah. Diddy's baby oil said I used to take pictures of everything. I needed them in case people didn't believe me. Okay. Because you knew, that's what I'm saying. You knew eventually you may have to support what your allegation is going to be. So eventually, I think Cassie knew she was going to tell. It was just when she was going to tell that all this stuff was happening. So, yeah. Tanya said maybe her and Kim was exchanging stories. I think, wasn't she at Kim's funeral? I think she went to Kim's funeral as well. Nicole Simpson kept photos. All women who are getting views should keep pictures. No, I agree. I mean, I guess if you're gonna stay, you should keep the photos. But yeah, it's a very the experts are gonna be very, very important in this because you just have some people that just can't grapple the idea of people staying in these situations. And then you got some people like we've seen that have been in these situations and they're like it's not easy to leave. It's very, very hard. Um but yeah, I believe she's alleging one time that he actually took it from her. So prior to that, it sounds like she's not saying he took it or she didn't want to do it in her mind. She didn't like it. But she's not saying that she wasn't like she was just forced at gunpoint, I guess. But she does have an allegation in 2018 where she is saying he took it from her, that there was an actual physical RAPE that occurred. So yeah. Yes, he was a narcissist, and lots of people saw him as his charming person. I needed my proof. She said, I can show you better than I can tell you. I know that's right, Diddy's baby oil. Yeah, she was at the funeral. Yeah. People still support Chris Brown. He's a known domestic abuser. That's from Brianna Banks. Keeping photos is one thing, but freak out videos, I don't know the reason behind that. Willie J said, I'd be keeping records too if this was happening to me. No one believes anything without video, and even then, there are doubters. Mm, mm, mm. This is just such a freaking unfortunate situation. It's crazy. It's a lot. I just can't imagine like her. Well, I don't know her parents and stuff, but like your even her husband sitting there knowing the person that you love went through all of this. It's just horrible. What's that? I'm gonna have to refresh this. All right. Let's see if we have any more. If you are enjoying the content and the commentary, please make sure you hit the like button. Okay, the government said, okay, so that was the Escalade. The government said in January 2009, did you attend an event in LA with Sean? She said yes. What happened as you left? She said, I'd been speaking to a producer about music. Sean called me a slut. I hit him in the face. I had been drinking. So they're trying to get ahead of, I guess, maybe the times that they're gonna say she hit him. Um, so he called her a slut. So he hit him. She hit him in the face, and she's saying it's because she was drinking. Then the government said, "Did you see any injuries?" She said no. So she didn't injure him when she hit him in his face. So then she says, I was on the floor of the car and he stomped on my face. And the government said, how long did this last? She said 10 minutes. Then I tried to get away, but Sean's security brought me back. She said, who? Roger Bond. Mm. The government said, what did they tell me? She said to go to a hotel. They probably said, what did they tell you? And she said to go to a hotel. And you guys remember, like I said, Roger Bond was in the lawsuit and he started being very, very vocal. First, he was kind of quiet about it. He has a son who is in Africa who he says was locked up, wrongful conviction for unaliving someone, and that they basically had no evidence on him and they didn't give him a trial and all of that. So allegedly, Diddy gave him like 10,000 or so initially to help with his son's trial, and then Roger needed more money, and I guess Diddy didn't give him anything. So what he started doing, what made me stop talking about Roger Bond was and following him was because he would do these things and he would do these posts and make it seem like he was about to tell stuff that had to do with Cassie because of the lawsuit, because they knew we were all interested because his name came up in the document. And then he would just post about his son and free his son and all of that. So I was like, okay, he's trying to use this. And I ain't mad at him. He's a parent. So then after a while, he was being very methodical where he wasn't really talking about Diddy at all. So he did say, like, you seen in the lawsuit that because she didn't speak ill of him in the lawsuit. I think she said he kind of helped her or something in some situation. And she said, you see in the lawsuit, she said, I helped her, I did whatever. So just recently he started, well, probably been about a year, he started like trying to get into like a domestic violence advocate. Like women can talk to me about it. I guess he took some classes and all of that. So he kind of got into the DV thing, which I thought was interesting or whatever. But yeah, he started talking a little bit more, I think, once he realized that there was conversation where people was like, oh, you're just kind of upset that Diddy didn't help you with your son because he needed more money or whatnot. And he started talking a little bit more about it. But yeah. So that's Roger Bond, for those of you that don't know. His name was like caught up, was in the lawsuit. Um so then she said they snuck her in the hotel, covered up so no one could see her face. So then the government said, how long were you at the London hotel? And she said, a week, a little more. An assistant brought me ice cream. What was the assistant's name? Genevieve. So this is why they're saying that he was able to basically be the monster he was because he had people around him that was allowing this stuff to happen. So if you have security guards that's allegedly putting blankets over you and putting you in a hotel so that you can nurse your wounds or whatever until you're better, and then sending you ice cream, and then once you're healed, you can come out in public, then the government is basically saying they are aiding and abetting in what you're doing. So someone asked, why isn't there more people at the defense table? I mean, that's a good question. So she says Genevieve gave her some ice cream. So then the government said, did you feel you could leave the London hotel? She said, no, I understood his capability, his access to GUNs and threats he made. So what they have to establish now is she was dropped off at the hotel, but it doesn't sound like anybody was there babysitting her. So if she wanted to leave the hotel, she could have. So she's basically saying she didn't feel like she could leave because of who Diddy was and that he carried weapons and that she knew what his capabilities were. Did you know that this assault incident was reported? She said, I know there was a blind item on the internet without our names. So then the government said, who raised the blind item to you? She said, my mom. The defense objected, and they said it's not for the truth of the matter asserted. So it's not hearsay. They're not actually saying it's true what was in there. They're just saying who told you about it or whatnot. You know, how did you know about it? State of mind more so. So the judge said overruled. So what y'all think so far? There's 1,700 of you guys. Welcome. Make sure you hit that like button. I want to know who the doctor and nurse were that helped them administer the IVs. That's an interesting question. Mm. Fine 9J said, and it's an organized enterprise. The Rico Sonya says, so far it hasn't seemed like she was ever held and couldn't leave, but okay. Yeah, Sonya's white muscle shirt. That's why they're trying to make it like a mental thing where you feel like you can, like almost like you're captured in your mind, I guess is what they have to come up with because he didn't drop her off like if you guys watch Tyler Perry Sisters. He ain't like drop her off and then have people standing outside of the door to make sure she didn't leave. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like she got dropped off and then she chose to stay there and people came and checked on her to make sure she was okay. But he put her away, I guess, so people couldn't see her. But yeah, Jai Best said, personally, I've have not been abused, but I have attempted to help family members and friends out of life-threatening situations like this. Only the artists get in trouble. R. Kelly had help from many, and only he got time. Are they going to bring charges against the people who helped him? I don't think so. But who knows? Tiptoe through the pretty tulip said, I would be very interested in knowing Cassie's origin story and why she felt she had to do what she did. Yeah. I wonder what her relationship was because she said she was very inexperienced before she got with Diddy sexually. But you know, we know she was with the person who found her and who helped her with it was a joint collaboration with Bad Boy and this guy on this 10 album deal. And he was older than her. He's like 8 or 9 years older than her. So she was in a relationship before him because at first I'm like, well, maybe this was kind of her first real relationship. But you know, she was with the other guy, and this was like Diddy didn't meet her till like 2006 or 8 or something. She was with, I guess she got discovered by her then boyfriend who became her boyfriend in 2004. So when she was like 16 or 17, I think is that. It sounds like based on the testimony, Diddy didn't try to start putting a move on her till she was about 21. So he might have met her at 19 and signed her at 19 and was trying to allegedly create a brand for her. But then at some point when she was on her 21st birthday, he tried to kiss her in the bathroom and she went and told her friend about it. So that sounds like the first time. And then I guess she said the freak offs started occurring when she was 22. Till she became an age. Yeah, he's 17 years older than Cassie, yeah. But the other guy was 8 or 9 years older and she was actually a teenager when she was with him. So yeah. Yeah, Ryan Leslie. I'm pretty sure. I just wonder his story. Like, what would he say their relationship was like? Because I think he's done an interview rather recently and he kind of touched on it a little bit, but not really. Because a lot of people are like, did Diddy take him from you? Like how they did LB Sure. Like they want to know, did he take your woman? Type thing. So I don't know how deep people get into it or if he just don't want to be involved. I do wonder what her and Ryan Leslie doing too. If she was that inexperienced, Ryan seemed like he loved her. Wow. Me too. I kind of wish Kim Porter really had a diary or whatever, because I don't know about how true any of this stuff is. The timelines in these books that came out didn't, the math wasn't mathing with the timeline. So I would be curious as well what Kim Porter would say about all of these shenanigans. Do you think Kim Porter, like, I don't know, like, how much was Kim Porter like? A lot was that part of the problem that Kim Porter wasn't down for the get down, or like Kim Porter? What I did hear one of the securities say, I don't know if it was Roger Bond or Gene Deal, but Kim used to be fighting him back. So I think from that physical standpoint, I think he did try to put his hands on her. Did he just bro needs help for real. What was it Ryan Leslie too? I know they did Kid Cudi. I hadn't heard about Ryan Leslie, Shanika. She allegedly went through the same thing. That's from Cecile. Sonia said, I feel like the show hasn't dropped yet. That is what I'm waiting on. I'm just getting hoes so far that needs some serious filling. Yeah. Well, it's the beginning. I think what they're doing is in the beginning, they almost want, they're painting a picture to hate this monster. So if you paint a picture to hate this monster, you already are semi-biased. So by the time he gets up and tries to justify stuff that he's done, you're like, I don't care about none of your justifications. Don't none of them work for me. I think Kim knew and he probably tried it with her, but once they had kids, he probably stopped. He hit Misa, but she wasn't having it yet. She's still here. Yeah. Kim didn't fight back at first. She fought back after he had a baby with Sarah. She was over it and he tried these freak offs with her too. That's from For Always, Forever, for Life. I don't know, y'all. This is a lot. All right. Let's see if we have any refreshers. I gotta figure out how to do this thread different because this is, let me see. If you are enjoying the content, make sure you hit the like button. Thank you so much. Okay, so Cassie said this was before FaceTime was very popular, so I could hide myself. She asked if it was me. So this is the mother. So the mother asked them when they, I guess, when it was reported and they seen it, somebody did a blind item on the internet or something about it. So she said this was before FaceTime was popular, so I could hide myself. She asked if it was me. And what did you say? She said no. I did not want my mother to know something of that magnitude and be in danger. So she's saying basically if she told her mother, she was concerned that now her mother's safety would be in jeopardy as well. So then the government says when you went to a party with your girlfriends, what happened? She said I saw executives from BET, then I heard that Sean was there. And what did you do? She said, I left. I ran out as fast as I could. Why? I thought he was angry. Did you come to the hotel where you did he come to the hotel where you were staying? She said, yes. He beat me up and called me names. My face was bruised. So then they show a photo. This photo, who is it? Scott Mescuddy, known as Kid Cudi. We dated in 2011. Did Sean find out? Yes, in my phone. Sean went through my phone during freakout. He found an email. About what? Taking my toiletry bag to Scott's the next day. Sean put a wine opener in his hand and threatened me. I called Scott on a burner phone. Where did you go? So now they're getting into Kid Cudi. Remember, he's accused of basically Kid Cudi's car ended up on fire. Let me see if anybody else is reporting any other ones. Hold on. This is crazy. So Cassie did also testify. Um, she also testified that Diddy threw a vase of flowers at her during the 2016 hotel attack. She said, quote, I just remember it coming towards me. I remember it hitting a wall, she said. So this was during the hotel situation. I think we talked about the rest of this stuff. So, let me see. Hold on. Yeah. Oh. So that is what's being played over and over again. It was my understanding he did make Kim do it too. I've heard that many times. He beat her too. He broke her nose so bad she required a nose. Oh, Jesus. No wonder he had a time because they had just finished a freak. See, that's what they were trying to argue that he did. That was not a freak off. That's what the defense is arguing. But of course, she's testified that it was after a freak off. Um, there was an argument. I think he was alleging the bag may have had her I can't. I've heard so many assumptions. I don't even want to assume. I'm sure Cross is gonna handle that to try to get to the bottom of it, but this is a lot, man. This is so like years and years of abuse. And even though, his actual charges is something, well, they're trying to tie it in to this abuse, but he definitely should have got him a couple DV charges. He has an assault charge from when he beat up a producer back in the day. But my sister was in a DV marriage. Her husband threatened to unalive her family if she left. So she kept going back. According to her, she felt trapped. And remember that's kind of what happened with I wonder, that's probably really Jennifer Hudson. You guys remember Jennifer Hudson, how her sister was with a man and I guess he was abusive and she left him. And so next thing you know, you found a vehicle with like I think he unalived her mom, the sister's son, and like the brother or something like that. And they were found in a car. So yeah, these men out here crazy. Yeah, we have, Abby. We have. You gotta protect yourself, ladies. Like seriously. It's because it's dudes that don't have money that will bash your head in. So the fact that he has money, I think it gives he just consistently prove I still have my own theories that I think he was like really bullied as a kid. I think a lot of women didn't like him. A lot of young girls didn't really like him. I think he was a little like they said he dressed up like he was going to church all the time as a kid. And I think a lot of his work ethic was driven by I'm going to be the boss and I'm going to get everybody back. Still living in that trauma of just being someone that nobody like a little punk. And so he got to a position where he probably went back to the girl that didn't invite him to the dance and was like, "Let's go out," and probably treated her bad. Like you cannot love your mama like that and treat women like this. I just can't see how that can. You cannot if you don't want anybody to do this to your mama. Why would you do this to somebody else's mother, somebody else's sister, somebody else's child? Would you want somebody to do this to your daughter? He got like he does. He has some issues. And I'm telling you, I can just see like I think his more of his work ethic was driven by him having the desire to be the man one day and get people back that didn't allow him to be the man when he was younger. I don't know. Okay, we got some more tweets here. Okay. So this is when we talked about the BET. She heard that Sean was there. So she left and ran out as fast as she could because she thought he was angry. The government said, "Did he come to the hotel where you were staying?" She said, "Yes, he beat me up and called me names. My face was bruised." And then the government said, "This photo, who is it?" Of course, it was Kid Cudi. And Sean went through her phone and all of that. Okay, let me go. So then she says to Scott's, let me go back. Where did you go? So let me go back one more. I keep saying, let me go back. So she says, taking my toiletry bag to Scott's, which is Kid Cudi's, the next day. Sean put a wine opener in his hand and threatened me. I called Scott on a burner phone. He said, the government said, where did you go? She said, to Scott's house. Then I talked with Capricorn Clark, one of Sean's assistants. Then what? I went to the house Sean was staying at. He told me he will release videos and hurt Scott and I. So she said, the government said, what videos? She said, freak off videos of me. So then she said, Sean kicked me in the back. I got a bruise. Where'd you go? To my hotel with the burner phone. The room was torn up. Someone peed all over the floor, pooped in the toilet, and didn't flush it. It was gross. This was just before Christmas. So then she says, I sent an email to my mom and Capricorn from my flight to Boston and Connecticut. What did you write? That Sean said he would release the tape of me on Christmas and he'd had Scott and I hurt. He said he would be out of the country then. So it sounds like after a while her mom knew because she had to tell him about the tape. He was going to release the tape. You said, I think Capricorn is Laren London's sister. A legal paralegal said, I understand, Cassie. Andrew said he did the same with a wine opener in Kim. She fought him back and stabbed him with it. She hit an artery and he almost died. He still has a scar. I just want to fight right now. like what? Such a jerk, man. Like, why did you have to be like this jerky? Just because you can. That was it. Just because you can. I'm proving that anybody do anything for me just to be in my presence. I get them to do whatever. And they said the name Puffy came from his anger because he would puff up. That's where Puffy came from. Did y'all know that? Does he even like women? I don't think he's a straight man and think feel the prosecution are trying their best not to out him. You know the prosecution don't care. Like, not to out him. So you saying maybe he just don't like he mad at women because he don't like women? He prefers males? Is that what you're inferring? You get me? Thank you for the super chat. You said pick. He outed his cell phone drink champs. That's from Black Magic. Just saying, said a person who will send people to your house to find you has enough money or resource to do anything. That'll make a person think 2 times about leaving or going to the cops. People have died trying. She's See, that's why you have stuff like the burning bed. You guys remember that movie about the lady who was abused, and then after a while, she set the bed on fire with her husband in it? And so that's when you had the battered woman syndrome. Like I actually did a paper in undergrad. I did it on the battered woman syndrome. Cause I was just so interested. Like, you hit me, I'm hitting you back. Like living in fear just ain't an option for me. And like I just can't, like, one of us gotta go. So that's why I'm just like to understand, try to understand the psychology of it. But I mean, I guess some people have incentives. When you got a husband, I guess, that pays all the bills, and then you're like, well, where am I gonna live? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna feed my family? You have to weigh like all of that. And what I mean by that is, see, with the battered woman syndrome, you have a honeymoon period. So you have a period where everything is all good, and there can be a loving person. You have like, they are who you want them to be. But then they just have this other person inside of them where they get mad or they have a bad day or whatever happens on their job or whatever happens with their friend. You are the punching bag. So they come and they start smacking you around, and then they love bomb you after they do that. And they love you so much and they're so sorry and they don't know why they did that and they don't know what happened. I promise I'll do it again. And then you're like, well, I remember he treated me so well when we were first dating and he brought me flowers, and you start reminiscing on the good time. And then you go periods, that's the honeymoon periods, where nothing happens. And a lot of times what will happen as well is you as the woman can start becoming like that because you almost feel weird when they're not hitting you. So you start starting stuff and you start hitting someone. So yeah, it's the psychology of DV is deep. That love and attention is what captures you. That's from work in progress. Man. He definitely should have did some time for domestic violence. And I think that's for any darn body he didn't hit like that. But I don't know if there's a limitation. Maybe there was so long that you can come with a DV and state court. And he hasn't been with her in a little while. But we have to see if they can prove what he was actually charged with, though. We're gonna see if the government can prove that. I wonder what Kid Cudi gotta say. Like, was Kid Cudi about it? Was he like, listen, man, you could go head to head, Sean? Like, how was Kid Cudi? So then the government said, "What are these photographs?" She said, "My mother took them in Connecticut of the bruises on my neck." The government said, "Were you entirely honest with your mother about the abuse?" She said, "No, I said this was the first time." She said, "Did you tell her about the freak offs?" They said no. And so then she asked, she needed a break because y'all know she very pregnant. She said, "Is it possible to take a break?" The judge said, "Yes, break." You said he ain't about that life. You said his car blew up. He knew to stay away. What? Does he? Oh, okay. That don't mean he can't whoop you up now just because he put a little nail polish on now. Y'all are hilarious. I can't. They need a witness who can attest to what Kim went through. Cynthia said verbal abuse is no joke either. I agree. Sometimes that bothers me. It can bother you more. And I say that because oftentimes you can heal from somebody hitting you, but what a lot of people will do is they will say you share your most intimate secrets with them or you let them know things and then they'll use that against you or start calling you things that or they know like your insecurities or they know you deal with rejection or whatever, and then they just play it over and over again in your mind. So it's almost like psychologically you're just consistently trapped on reliving it. So for some people a lot of psychological damage is worse. Man, I was the pickup queen. Like I will pick up something and bop you with it in a minute. Oh, we both going down. I might not win, but you gonna know I was there. That's all I'm saying. But there are crazy people. I told y'all my little story time. There's some crazy people out here. It just, I think my family started coming across like we was a little bit crazier. So I guess he was like, all right, this ain't the one. Let me move on to the next one. But like you said, some people, they need a warning label. But it's women you can warn about people and they still going, they want to get it for themselves. Oh, they're just jealous. Like, no, sis, I'm really trying to save your life. Said I'm right here, Pam. Right back. Yeah, I don't want to come across like I think I'm so tough and that I could beat up men because I'm not saying that, but you gonna know I was there. That's all I'm saying. Sassy said we would be like Tina one good time. Then I'm not you gonna say talking about the limo scene. My for girl said at this point, Pam, this is overkill. I know the jurors is full of all of this. She lived in fear. That's from a legal paralegal. Joy said just like Shirley was warned and said people were hating. But one thing that she was concerned about, Cassie, she said it. She didn't want anybody to take that spot. She felt like if she didn't do everything he wanted her to do, he would get somebody else to do it. So basically, she has testified she was willing to endure a whole lot just because she didn't want somebody else to get them. So I want to ask, and this is just they're on break now, so I want to ask this general question for those in the chat that have um engaged and they have bravely told us they're in DV situations or they've gotten out of DV situations. Did you remain in the situation because you didn't want them to be with anybody else? Or did you remain in the situation because you were afraid that if you left, something was going to happen to you or something was going to happen to your kids or financial abuse? You knew you would be on your own and you didn't have money. I just want to know, like, how common, based on who we have in the chat, that you stay with somebody because or you do things you don't want to do because you just don't want them to be with anybody else. Elite Leo said, I took GHB. I went to a gym, blacked out. I woke up nude in the shower. Oh, you talking about what the quote was? Thank you so much. Kitty Boo, thank you for the super chat. She said, legally, how would Diddy be 100% liable if Cassie was the person making the arrangements with the S worker because she loved Diddy? Thanks. So, what they're trying to establish is she did it, but she didn't want to. She had such a fear of him, and it was power, control, coercion, to where she did whatever he told her to do, even though she really didn't want to do it. So, that's what they're trying to establish. I didn't want my kids to grow up with the father like I did with. Okay. Cassie felt that way because she did it to Kim. She wanted him so bad, and that's exactly what she got. So Cassie knew that he was with Kim because that's who he went with in public. And then she chose to mess with him even though he was with Kim. Is that what you're saying, Peachy Bama? Thank you for the super chat. Oh, it's a lot of you guys. My gosh. Wow, LOL said I stayed because I had no money or support to leave. He almost unalived me, so I came up with a plan. It worked. 20 years of abuse. Wow. I'm glad you made it out and you made it out alive, man. Shanika said, honestly, I stayed because I wanted to make him happy. I stayed because I thought that he loved. I also stayed out of fear, and he would tell me no one would want me because I had kids and acne. Child, almost everybody come with kids now. I hope you know now, Shanika. Work in progress that I remained because he wouldn't leave, and jail was a vacation house for him. Oh my goodness! Now he was in the vacation. He was in jail all the time. Elite Leo said, stayed 6 years. Didn't know at that time how I would afford a place by myself. Also, still loved him and didn't want to start over with anyone else. Wow. Analytical one said, not concerned with them being with someone else, but me not believing or knowing it wasn't love and I deserved better. Well, I'm glad you realized you were the prize, analytical one. What? Steph said, woo, y'all don't want to hear my story. Dude is sitting on death row as I type. I think I do want to hear your story, Steph said. What you talking about, sis? That's a whole nother lie. Darling Nikki said I stayed because I thought the person would change and also financial reasons at the time. Was he in some type of therapy? What made you think he was going to change? A legal paralegal said, I think for my mother, it was all of that love, money, and fear for her life. He left after 40 years, but he threatened her to never get married again. For Ice Forever said, I was terrified for my safety and my family's safety. I didn't know where would I go with my kids. Now to this day, he tries to act like he doesn't remember. That pisses me off. Sound like most people stayed because they had, the money and support. Thank you guys for sharing your stories. I appreciate it. So I know it's a sensitive topic. I really appreciate that. But I was just wondering, like, especially for Cassie basically saying, "Oh, I stayed because I ain't want nobody else to have them," or I did the freak offs because I didn't want to do it with nobody else. I'd be like, absolutely, you can do it with somebody else. I'll just go look pretty on the red carpet, like, because apparently he was doing that before her. Toyette said, I'm a survivor of DV. My baby daddy has a mental illness. He used to bite me all the time. I moved in the middle of the night while he was gone and never looked back. I hope he got on the medication he needed. That's another part of it, too. There's a lot of mental health issues that are attached to some of these DV as well. Lisa said, my ex is on wife number 3 right now. Goodness, my daughter's father told me that it's not over until he said it was over. Needless to say, I left his ass. That's over 30 years ago. Next slide. So a lot of you guys can empathize with Cassie. So knowing that somewhat how she feels, I don't know. I ain't seen nobody say they was doing freak offs and stuff because hers was on a different level. But like knowing how she feels, can you be an open-minded juror and be like, okay, he was trash, but did he do what they say that he did, or do you feel like he should just be punished because he was just been a jerk the whole time, and that they should be? If I'm I'm leaning towards you going to prison. Whoa, Diane. She said I was in a DV relationship for 16 years. My God. Mm-mm-mm. Well, I'm glad all of you guys that have gotten out safely and all of you guys that's going through it now. I hope that the people that have told you they made it out, that it's encouragement for you, that you ain't got to take this bullshit. You ain't got to take it. Walk out on faith because people stand for you. You don't want your kids to grow up and think that that's okay, that is a sign of someone loving you. Sometimes when you don't have enough self-esteem for yourself, you got to put your kids, if you have any, in front of it and be like, I'm not going to do it because my kids. I may not love myself enough yet, but I love my kids enough that I'm not going to let them grow up like this. Okay, so they're back. So let's get back on the record. I said, I'm glad you have 7 brothers. Yeah. 309, they were back on the record. The judge, Miss Johnson, any estimate? Like, how long you think you about to be, lady? Because we in the afternoon, and the defense did say they didn't think you was going to be done. They did say that in the beginning. She said an hour more. The goal is to finish the direct and allow to start cross exam today. So then the judge said, bring the witness and then the jury back in. So it looked like cross is probably going to start about 4 o'clock. So the jury enters. The government says, did anyone come to see you in Connecticut? She said, Scott did for a few days. I broke it off with him. It was too dangerous. So she broke up with Kid Cudi because she said it was too dangerous. So the defense said, objection. Why are they objecting? Maybe he putting this like the wrong, like why are they objecting after she already answered? Like, it seems a little bit late. When they said, did anyone come to see you in well, I guess you could move the strike. It was too dangerous, but anyway. She said Sean said he would hurt both of us. So then the government said, where did you go after Connecticut? She said, I went to see Sean. He was in Arizona, his son's college. I told my mother I was going to LA for work. The government said, did Sean talk about Scott's car? She said, Sean said he wanted Scott's friend to see Scott's car blown up. Mm. So Diddy allegedly told her he wanted Kid Cudi's friends to see that his car get blown up. Little bully. Sound like he's trying to be a little bully. Just saying, said it's hard to second guess. She was young, afraid of using a lot of drugs. Our brains aren't completely developed at that time. Can't expect her to act as we think we would or would not. And he's a sociopath. What? You said he was slapping his mama. Tina Tolliver said, I was in a DV relationship for 17 years. Also, a pawpaw was held to my head in front of my sons. So does this sound more like a domestic violence issue that they have, the government with Cassie? Or do you guys think it's what he's being charged with, which is trafficking, enterprise? Let me pull up his most recent indictment. Let's see. I don't even think I pulled up the last one when they just put names in there. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Hold on. Let me pull up his most recent indictment. So, count one, racketeering conspiracy. Hold on. It seems like it seems like that Diddy went after people that was with other people. Like he wanted what somebody else had to almost prove that he can get them too. You know that old Patty, like, she could be mine if I wanted her to be mine. So he got racketeering conspiracy. That's count one. Um, Count two is X trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Count three, transportation to engage in prostitution. So basically, when you went and you got them people to have sex with you when you was going across lines, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. And this was 2021 to 2024. So this is someone else that they're referring to. Victim 2. Then count 5 is transportation to engage in prostitution, and that was in 2021. And that's from victim number 2. So, I believe the coercion to travel across straight to have her do sex acts, having his employees go get. Then she tried to leave. The drugs and harming her now love interest makes the case. Someone in the chat yesterday said he went after the ladies who had men he couldn't be with. Like, you saying he wanted the men? He was trying to punish the men? Is that what you saying? Oh, this is too much. Okay, let's see where else they at now. Um, you said it's civil. Thank you, Peach Obama, for the super chat. All right. So, and what happened next? Didn't I tell you that's what they do? What happened next? So then she says, we met, Sean, Scott, and me. Scott said, what about my vehicle? And Sean said, what vehicle? And that was the end of the meeting. The government said, put up the photo. What is this? She said, me and Sean in Kingston, Jamaica for Sound Clash. The government said, were you bruised? She said, yes. And this photo, what is it? Me in Sean's bathroom, September 18, 2015. And what were you doing there? Recuperating from being beaten up by Sean in Las Vegas. We were having an after party in our suite. I talked to a producer and Sean tapped me on the shoulder, called me into our room and beat me, kicked me as I tried to hide behind the toilet. What stopped it? D-Rock and James Cruz came in. It made D-Rock sad. What are these communications? From D-Rock to me, he says, where you at? It's time to ice your face. The government asked why. She said, I had just been beaten up by Sean. Diddy paid Cassie. He paid her. They settled that case. He didn't even answer. Peachy Bama said, I have a feeling that he will get a slap on the wrist, not unless they have more than what's being presented. Cassie is the star witness, and I'm just getting DV and Rico case. I wonder how is it not prostitution if he paying these people that sleep with him, unless they're going to argue that none of the Unless they're going to argue that none of the exchanges and money was really for the sex, it was just for something else. Yeah, I heard it was an ex-girlfriend he had that I guess never really wanted to testify. So yeah. Yeah, this trial is supposed to be, they said 8 weeks, but I think it'll be, I don't know now, as slow as they trying to be with Cassie. Now they didn't, I thought it was moving pretty fast. That's why the judge asked, like, how long are you gonna be? Because they told the court that they were gonna be done by lunchtime. And Diddy's team was like, I don't see them being done by then. And it looks like they're not. They're basically taking up the whole day. Because they stop at 5 o'clock. Oh yeah. You think so? Shannon Sharp said he's fighting these allegations. They are 100% not true. You get me, said, so the tapes must really show her consenting and interacting with the escorts because they are hammering down on the DV and fear she had on him. Yep, exactly. The tapes look consensual, like everyone's enjoying themselves. So they're trying to paint a picture that she may look like she's enjoying herself, but she's faking. She's just doing whatever her man want her to do. That's what I said. I wonder if they gave her some type of immunity, if she was concerned because she engaged in it. Because she made the statement of, I learned that it was illegal or something, and they objected. Yes, R. Kelly had federal cases and state cases. But the one he's in prison now for was pretty much the same charge that Diddy has. EJ said, how can she consent if she's under the influence? She took it in anticipation of having sex though. So like when they showed the text, it was, I got my whatever drug and I called the escort. So you did it in anticipation of that. So how do you say it's a difference if you're there and you don't even know what's about to happen and you just get slipped something or you take something and that wasn't your anticipation, but the way it looks is all this stuff was pre-planned. You came opening the door with lingerie on. You took all of these pills in order to get through it, so you knew exactly what was about to happen. Yeah, she never said he forced her down to take drugs or anything. Yes, that's what they said. But she said, well, yes, the escort says she called on her own and FaceTime. However, what they're trying to establish is even though she did it, she only did it at the direction of him. So now the jury basically has to believe that none of this stuff Cassie did on her own volition. She never wanted to do it after the first freak off. She never wanted to do anything again. He pretty much forced her to do it. And so because of that, it was his money. He told her to make so it was like he's directing it, even though she's the one doing it, calling and all of that and getting the drugs or whatever. He directed her to do it and showed her how to do it. That's why the defense was out there like, all this stuff was consensual. She did it all. She called the people. She did this. So that's exactly what the government is trying to establish, that she did it. She may have physically done it, but it wasn't anything she really wanted to do. So yeah, it's that's what I believe. He had her addicted and encouraged her to do it. How do you know? How you know she didn't do drugs before? Did she testify she had never done drugs before? She took the drugs while she was sober inside of having participation without a weapon. Is that being forceful? That's the question, Christine Leach. We already established he was beating the stew out of her and he should definitely do some time for DV. Mm-hmm. This case won't be as cut and dry as people think. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they're, but see, I think that's why the prosecution is moving the way that they're doing by making you like get distracted. Like you see all of this stuff that he did to her. Like who's not going to be outraged? If you're just a human being, you're going to be outraged. You can't listen to this stuff and not have some type of emotion or not want to be like, ooh. So if I don't like the person, if I got to give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they won't give them the benefit of the doubt. They know what they're doing, how they're setting this up very methodically. Mm-mm. Let's see. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I found this thread. Where the heck did the thread go? Hold on. Okay, so then the government says, were these all the times he beat you? She said, no, there were more. The government said, with who else did you see Sean be violent? She said, I saw him drag an assistant out of bed. I saw him punch Eli in his head. One time in Turks and Caicos, he dragged a person. She said, I believe we had a freak off in Turks and Caicos. And the government said, what floor did you live on Comstock? She said, the 17th floor. Did a friend stay with you? Yes, Sean came and held her and threw her on the patio furniture out on the balcony. Remember, it's somebody that also sued him and said that he held one of her friends over the balcony or something. LB sure wasn't good to Kim either and also hung around them as a family. I've seen those pics. Queen Brielle said prosecutors are using RICO to argue that Diddy led a criminal enterprise via in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. She did not introduce it to him. He could say no anytime, and she did say she never did drugs before she met him. I didn't hear that. Kimmy G said it sounds like she was willing. It turned into domestic violence and prostitution, and he made it look like it was all of her idea. This is too much. It's a lot. Darling Nikki said the tape is being used to prove force, where he beat her and forced her to go back to the freak off. It's not being used as DV, even though it was. But she went home on that video. She said she got in the Uber and she went home. She left the hotel after that. I guess in between sessions of the freak off, I guess. Well, he got a whole different story on that whole video, so we'll see what their story is. But because everybody's done a documentary like this case wasn't in trial. I'm like, why are y'all doing documentaries? I think she said that at first she did do the freak off because she wanted to, and then she's saying later she didn't. So Candace said it's also sounding like they are laying groundwork for the defense to grill Cassie unmercifully. I want to know who gonna do this cross examination. That's what I want to know. Who do you think is it gonna be? Is it gonna be Westmoreland? Is it gonna be Garagos? Is it gonna be Spiro? Which woman do you think is going to do this? Think it's gonna be Nicole? She definitely says she did the first freak off because she wanted to and she felt special. He shared that part of himself with her, and we was thinking she was talking about him being bi. Cecile said, "You think Garagos is gonna do it?" All right, y'all. I gotta take a 1 minute break. So you guys talk amongst yourself. Make sure you hit the like button, but I'm gonna be back. Okay. Gotta answer this phone call right quick. All right. So it's some Tory Lane stuff. I put it in my I'd already put it in my membership. But apparently, let me see. I know these people gonna. Why is it? Let me see. Tory Lane's break. Let me see how long this is. Hold on. Oh, oh, this ain't long. Hold on. Hold on. They say they got new evidence, so let's see. On Tory Lanez. It's always something, y'all.
Should we test the mic? I don't know, should we test the mic? Should we test the mic? Oh, that's the beginning.
All right, everybody. First off, my name is Caesar McDowell. I am the CEO and co-founder of Unite the People. We're a nonprofit organization that promotes social justice as well as provides affordable legal services for the underserved community here in the state of California. Today, we want to thank everybody for coming out, all of the press, all of the fans, everyone that's here today. We want to say Today, we're going to hear some really, really compelling new evidence that you've never heard before. Our legal team will explain all that to you. We will have updates on Tory Lanez, Mr. Peterson, on how he's doing. Um, it's really sad to see the situation that he's in, and we think it's time. Enough is enough. It's time to bring the brother home. So with that, I would like to bring up
new
our
evidence.
lead consultant, Mr. Walter Roberts. Morning. We are here today to bring to your attention some information.
Okay, no, you talking too low and too slow. So allegedly, of course, they saying they got new evidence of somebody who Kelsey admitted that she the one that shot Meg the Stallion. I think is what the information I got. Okay, so I'm trying to see if there's a post somewhere that I could. So that's supposed to be the new information. Okay, I just they've been trying to blame everybody since all this stuff happened. Okay, here they got it on the neighborhood talk. Tory Lane's defense team said the security guard is ready to come forward and claim that Kelsey shot the gun at Megan. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody. So Kelsey security guard, I guess, allegedly is gonna come forward and say that it was Kelsey and it was not Tory who shot the gun. If y'all care. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all care? How many of y'all care? You said child. We done heard this. All right, let's get back to the that was just a little intermission. Okay. So then Cassie says, I believe we had a freak off in Turks and Caicos. What floor did you live at on Comstock? She said the 17th floor. Did a friend stay with you? Yes. Sean came and held her and threw her on the patio furniture out of the balcony. She said, I saw Sean bring her back in from over the balcony, then throw her on the patio furniture. And Carrie Morgan, I saw Sean hit her in the head. The government said, did you get drugs on your own? She said, occasional drug dealers, opiates, Xanax, Valium. She said, Sean would put the pills in a vitamin C bottle on the sink in the New York apartment. He'd say, you can take them. He had doctors who would write the scripts in the name of an assistant or in my name. Doctors getting pulled in. Doctors about to lose their license too. Then the government said, your brother's birthday party in Connecticut in 2013. What happened? She said, my mother told me someone was taking pictures of me. I went and punched her in the head. What? Cassie. So they're trying to get ahead of the stuff that's going to make her look bad, I guess. So they said she's at her brother's birthday party in 2013. And her mother told her someone was taking pictures of her, so she went and punched her in the head. You testify your relationship with Sean ended in 2018. How was your health? That's the last question. I told you they're gonna bring up stuff about any violence she had. All that stuff is fair game. if you're talking about it. So their job is to say she wasn't innocent. She wasn't just over here being a nun, and we're going to see how the defense pulls it off. I'm trying to see what the next tweet is. They taking too long. Okay, so they said, how was your health? She said, I was sleepwalking. I had PTSD. Objection. Overruled. What's this? A photo of my front porch in 2018. They published it to the jury, which just basically means they show the jury when they publish it. Why is there a knife there? She said Sean was coming around a lot, so I had it. So apparently she has a picture at her of a knife at her front porch that she had there at her front door just in case Diddy tried to come back and get jiggy with it. Okay. She was ready for whatever at that point. So she had a knife in order to protect herself. You said, I believe that Kelsey did. That's why she asked for immunity. So what if Cassie got immunity? Would y'all say the same thing about Cassie? Because I'm wondering if she got immunity. Sonya says, surely this angel did not punch anybody. I know it's Will Smith, okay? I'm not promoting Diddy songs, all right? Didn't I tell y'all I'm done? I'm not promoting it. He is definitely innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But if I could stop listening to Step in the Name of Love, I definitely could stop listening to Every Step I Take. I can certainly stop. Not like us said, I believe Cassie got immunity to testify. You said the Bonnie and Clyde of sex parties. I'm just saying. No, because they trying to connect them to Biggie. Imagine finding out that there was allegedly some correlation with the demise of Biggie, but you out here dancing, looking at the stars and doing all this stuff about how hurt you are, but you had something to do. That's diabolical. Him doing that stuff sitting next to his kids or whatever, like they're alleging with Kim, that's just another level if they were able to prove that. So what happened is if there's any immunity, they have to tell the defense. That is something they're entitled to. And the jury will know once the defense decides to let the jury know. They're going to say, you got a deal, didn't you? So no matter what you say, no matter how you say it, you ain't going to jail, are you? So they will find that out. That's something that has to be disclosed to their side. That's if it happened. I don't know if she got immunity or not. Thank you, Miss Muncho 8. I appreciate it. Why y'all always coming for me in this chat, Jay Vickers? I'm doing the best I can. You know I'm a church kid. A lot of this stuff I didn't even listen to or watch till I was an adult. We were listening to Mississippi Mass Choir and Rance Allen and them. We wasn't listening to nobody in my mama's and daddy's house, okay? Okay. In August 2018, what happened? She said we were having a closure conversation. So this is going to be the RAPE. This is probably when the husband had to go. So in August of 2018, what happened? We were having a closure conversation at a restaurant in Malibu. He was trying to convince me to go to Burning Man. Were you seeing anyone? She said, my husband. So she broke it off with him once she got with her husband. What happened next? She said, Sean came to my house and RAPE'd me on my living room floor. His eyes were black. It was like taking something from you. The government said, you cried? What did Sean do? She said, he continued and finished inside of me. Then he got up and left. Mm. Okay, 1 second, guys. 1 second. Thank you so much for your patience. This still is a work day, you know. All right. Let's see. What happened next? That's from the government, as you guys could have guessed. She says, Sean came to my house and graped me in my living room. His eyes were black. It was like taking something from me. You cried? What did Sean do? He continued and finished inside me. Then he got up and left. And the government said, did you ever have sex with him again? She said, yes, voluntarily. We had a good night. I went back to his house. The government said, can you explain why you did that after he raped you? She said, we have been together for 10 years. So the government, see, they should have did this a little different. They probably should have stuck this more in the middle. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get out in front of the stuff that's going to make her look some kind of way. So what do you guys have to say about that last comment? Huh? Yeah, they are charging him under the Mann Act. They are. And this is the stuff right here that are going to go on during cross real bad. That's from Peachy. But they're trying to get out in front of it. So the fact that she hit somebody in the face before, the fact she never told him no, the fact that she's saying he took it from her, and then after that she still did it to him again, and they had a good time and everything was good. She had been with him for 10 years. So all of that stuff, and they probably had text messages or something to corroborate it, and that's probably why the government is trying to get in front of it. But I would have stuck that somewhere in the middle, because if this is towards the end of their direct examination, that's not a way to end your direct. But hey. Tory has petitioned the California governor for a. I thought he had already did that. Pam, what does the testimony have to do with the RICO? Yes, Trump can pardon him if he won't. If he's convicted, he sure can. Sonya's white muscle T-shirt says shows exactly what I said. She was doing what she wanted. She was doing what she wanted and what she wanted. I'm sure she did. Somebody said she loved her abuse, but she was already dating her husband. Her husband sitting in, well, no, I think they had him leave. So she's already dating her husband. And then she had sex with him even after the alleged rape. So maybe that's why the defense didn't want him in there, because they want to ask certain questions that's pertaining to whether we're going to believe the credibility that he actually took it from her. Stockholm syndrome, like a mofo. That's what Lorraine said. They're trying to set up the defense to ask certain questions that she has already been coached on. Yeah. They know they're bad facts. And that's what I talked about yesterday. If you watch that video, it's best for it to come out on you, because look at our eyes when we seen this, heard a lot of this stuff that Sean Puffy Combs did for the first time. We was like, what? So just imagine if we heard all this stuff about Cassie for the first time on the defense side. So what they're trying to do is get it out there so that when the defense does it, it just takes the what out of it and the shock factor. I still forgot to get my charger. I did all that running around and answering phones and taking breaks, and I still forgot to get my charger. Okay. Twitter told me to stop. Like, okay. That's Twitter said, lady, your refreshing is getting out of hand. So then the government said, who did you stay in touch with? She said, most people, though I pulled away. So then the government said, what did you message Sean about after that? She said, just checking in. The government said, what did he send you? She said that he had iPads full of images. Get him his money. And you said Ray saw day said, I can't wait to hear what the psych has to say about this. Yeah, me too. We gonna all have to learn on this one. This is gonna be a learning, teachable moment for a lot of us. I think we all can agree that we feel this is very unfortunate. I think we all can agree on that. Christine, so that's what I want to know. What do you think they talked about on their closure conversation? Like, what did we talk about? Did he apologize, like, for treating her bad? Did he say he's sorry? He was out his mind. He was on drugs. She deserved better. Like, what was that closure conversation? And why would you need a closure conversation if somebody treated you like trash this whole time? And I heard the reason why she really wanted to leave him was because he was seen in pictures with somebody else or something. What do you think they talked about? So he wanted her to pay him for the videos. I don't know. That's a good assessment. Maybe that is what that means. See, that's why it's bad when we ain't got the actual transcript, but it is what it is. So then I guess we're gonna get the answer now. Because they said money back for what? She said for having paid my now husband to be my trainer. So no, that's not what it was. So the government said, what did you write back? She said, do you want me to tell the truth? It's much deeper than iPads. There was abuse more than freak offs. So when he found out that she was messing with the trainer, he said, can I get my money back? Can I get my money back for all of that? Since he ended up with you, he might as well reimburse me my money, is what it sounds like. What is the possibility that Carisha has been given immunity for her testimony? Why would she need immunity? What do you think? I think she was in a relationship with him, but why do you think she would need immunity? Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. So Jay Vickers said, I thought I heard the last straw with her was when she went with him to console him after Kim's passing. And she said publicly at service that Kim was his soulmate. Then she dashed. Oh, wow. I can totally see. I can totally see him saying that because I think we all he thought Kim was his soulmate. And I think Cassie consistently tried to do whatever needed to be done so that she can be considered and be first. The only way that Cassie probably could have married him after Kim died, but I don't think I think as long as Kim was alive, I just don't think he would have married anybody in front of Kim Porter. Because there was just a different, and I'm not saying he didn't treat her, that he treated her the best, but I think on his level of how to love, because people can only love to the capacity they know how. I think that was his person from that capacity in his mind. It still doesn't take away his toxicity or abuse. It's just I think he really did it was something about Kim Porter. Said I think she's participated in freak off. She got out of Dodge real quick though. Carisha said, what? Raiding houses? She went and was like, They were broken up when Kim passed though. Yeah, they were. And when did Kim pass? When did Kim Porter pass? Let's see, guys. Kim Porter passing. She died November 15th of 2018. So they had just broke up. So they're saying they said they had a breakup conversation in August of 2018. Kim Porter passed away November 15th of 2018. And she came to the funeral for Kim to be there for him. I don't know. She said, there was a time I couldn't take the pain, tried to walk out in traffic. My husband wouldn't let me. I had trauma therapy. He said, did you write? She said, a book with chapters. My mom helped. The government said, what did you want with the book? She said that Sean would read it. The government said, what pain did Sean put you through? She said, shame, to carry the things that were shameful for him. I took on a lot of responsibility for that I never should have. He brought the concept to me when I was 22. It was expected of me. I felt terrible. Mary J. Mary J. B had a show, The Wind Down, and Carisha and Taraji did an interview with her. You can see that there's so many warnings to her. Jennifer said Cassie wasn't that powerful of a witness to organized crime, in my opinion. A soft place to land. Thank you for being a member for 8 months. You said 40 minutes back. You're 40 minutes back, okay? So you're talking about your DV experience. You stayed 26 years for fear, but left once. Yeah, she gonna probably be in therapy for the rest of her life for this type of stuff. Sassy says she stayed while Kim had babies with Duffy. Did you do that on purpose? Were you calling him Duffy on purpose? Hmm. You giving him another name out of his 5,000 he got already? Brother Love, because he's all about love. I wonder what she thought about the brother love thing. Like, please give me a break. All right. The government said, how did you get chapters to Sean? She said, through my attorney. And I reached out to KK. I asked her if he read it. She said it was not taken seriously. So then the government said, how much did you ask for the book? She said $30 million. So they brought it up themselves. Somebody asked that, so they're trying to get ahead of this as well. Did you sue? She said November of 2023. What happened with the lawsuit? She settled for 20 million. So all y'all talking about she got $100 million. The lady done got less than what she was trying to get. She got $20 million in 24 hours. That's still a lot of money now. And the lawyer get a third. Let me see how much. Let me calculate how much this lawyer got off of this 20 million. So all y'all talking about she got a quadrillion dollars. So it settled for 20 million in 24 hours. And then the government said, why are you testifying in this trial? And she said, I can't carry this anymore. What's wrong is wrong. I tried people like they were disposable, escorts, anybody. So they probably about to conclude because they just asked her why she testifying. You said her doctor's bill probably 30 million. You said still more than I could hear. I was about to say, girl, 600K. No, sis. That is some states we only can do a third, but some states will let you do more than that. So they do 40, I think 44%. That's a lot of money. That lawyer probably never made no money that fast. All you did was actually print out a lawsuit and file it. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, let's see. They still going on. Okay. So the government told you they was about to arrest. The government said, how many freak offs did you have with Sean? She said, impossible to know, 100. She said that already in the beginning. She told us that already. The government said, after you broke up with Sean, did you ever do a freak off? She said, no, no further questions. So now we on cross. We have finally made it to the finish line. What do you guys think about the government's direct examination? If you think it was very persuasive, put a 1 in the chat. If you think it doesn't satisfy, they haven't really shown what it should be giving, put a 2 in the chat. If you think the defense is about to really like unravel everything the government just did, put a 3 in the chat. Let's give a prediction here. Okay, look a little split. Now, y'all think the defense about to go do some carrying, huh? Y'all said the defense about to be carrying out here. Did they show the freak offs? I don't know. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know. Y'all think the defense about to be carrying on. You said you reserve it for rebuttal, huh? Jay Vicker said, I think it was obvious that they purposefully mentioned certain things to get ahead of the defense so they can bring it up and then they can redirect. No, they brought it up because you don't ever want to make it seem like your client is hiding something. You know you got these bad facts. Like it's nothing you can do about these bad facts. I want to know who doing this cross-examination. Let's see. So you never want to look like you're hiding it. You know, you're just always saying what's perfect about your client. So there's a sidebar before a cross that's happening right now. So they had a sidebar. Okay. So let's see. Okay, y'all need to wrap this conversation up now. We've been waiting on this. You think you guys could be a juror on this case and be fair? He said court sure does cost a lot. Yes, we ready. Willie J says she probably would have made more money with her music if she had promoted her like he promised. I was looking at Wikipedia and it was mentioning her being a part of some other record labels, so I'm not sure. Now I know, like I said, there are people who are writers, and they said basically Puff sat on their writings. They sat on their songs. So you said nope because you'd already made up your mind. At least y'all honest. That's why I love y'all. Y'all so honest. We gonna see, Miss Lady, if they gonna try to say, if they're gonna make her look like the total victim. I mean, him look like a victim at some point. They gotta be methodical because some of the stuff you just cannot. It's nothing you can do about it. You was a jerk. I probably would call him a jerk. Like we know he was a whole, but like ridiculous. Still at this sidebar? I'm getting too anxious. Or are they gonna be like, we want to start fresh tomorrow? The judge might be like, no, you're not gonna waste 45 minutes. Dang, Willie J said I cannot be a jury like this. He will get the death penalty. Lord have mercy. Bama said I couldn't be fair. He said, "How soon will I have the transcripts?" Why you asking me? Oh, I know Dennis got them. He's a jerk, but they can't convict on ethics. So that's from What Up, though. That's 313. Grace Mercy and Say said, "I really don't see trafficking yet." That's why your name is Grace Mercy. You having grace and mercy right now. Elite. I could be on the jury too. I've been on, you know what I'm saying, both ends. Y'all heard my horror story. And then you have what I do for a living. So the fact that I can, sometimes I amaze myself. Like that I know that I've been, I don't want to say a victim. I could have been for real a victim, but that I've been subjected to some things, and I still can just be fair and assess everybody's situation. I don't automatically believe that everybody who says they've been hit, they were hit. I don't automatically just believe the worst in people. It has to be proven, and that's how I've been. Some people just as soon as they see it, especially on the internet, oh, we believe he did everything they said he did. But it took skill. So I don't expect y'all to be like that. Like literally, they almost transform your brain when you're in law school if you pay attention. And then you get some people that are just born prosecutors. Like they can't see nothing but you did wrong. They're very judgmental. And they'll be a lifetime prosecutor. They never want to go over to the defense because they think everything that they say you did it all and some. And unfortunately, a lot of them are the ones that end up on the bench. See? With the jury out, the judge said, "Why don't we put off the cross until tomorrow?" Y'all see that shenanigans? The government said, "We like to start now to be sure to finish." And then the judge asked Miss Astavio, she said she will be finished by the end of the week. The judge said, "So no cross today." So that means Astavio is going to be the one that cross examines her? It's okay. As a defense attorney, would you want to start cross examination now or wait until the morning? I would. The reason why I would do it now is because I would just hit some good points, and then they got to think about what I just said while they go home. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the reason why I would want to do it, because I would hit them with some points that I know would make them go, "Oh my god," and make them start questioning the credibility of this witness all through the night. So then they come in already a bit skeptical and trying to wait and eat up what I'm going to say next. So that would be why I would want to do it, but I don't see why the government wouldn't want to be the ones that got the last words in their mind while they go home. But hey, that's just me. Thank you so much for coming back, Loso, the Majestic Beat. We met you yesterday, I think. Thank you so much. I'm just saying, that's just me, Jay Vickers. I want you to leave out of there while you down there getting your look, because they got some good food over there in the area. You down there getting your little food and stuff with all the little buffets they have, and you just sit there and you like, wow, I was really feeling sorry for her. But then they just threw up a text message that said, "I'ma beat you next time I see you. Don't let me see you," or whatever. I'm making that up. Like, dang, is this really like, did she really just put on a show and she got $20 million? If I was the government, I wouldn't even ended it with the $20 million. I would have said it like way early on, so they would have just forgot about the importance of that, or made like it really wasn't that important. I think they should have ended a little bit better than this. That's um. Oh, they are. Oh, Lord have mercy. They took me all the way back. Let's see. I'm trying to see if they said anything else. If you just joined, basically they're talking. The judge wants to do cross tomorrow, so we're probably done for the day. So then the judge said, we'll just make up the time in other ways. Get the jury. The witness can be excused. The prosecutor said, can the witness be excused? And the judge said yes. So she's getting off of the bench right now, getting off of the witness hot seat. No, the jury is not sequestered. Isn't that crazy? All of this media coverage, all these people, you can't even walk outside without cameras. They are not. Thank you so much, MC. I appreciate it. Let me see what Dennis is talking about. He said I know he has the transcripts, but I don't know if do y'all want to go over the transcripts or not. I don't know. What's happening? Where you at? Oh, you at the court. What you outside trying to get a shot? Oh, well, you know they ended, right? Tomorrow, yeah, for cross. All right. All right. I mean, whatever you need. Mm-hmm. Okay. I said okay. All right. I'm on live. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye. Yeah, he said he had a transcripts in an hour, so we'll see. We'll see. I do not understand letting them go home. Thank you, what up, Doe 313 for the super sticker. I appreciate that. So you guys have any more questions? Because we've been on for 3 hours, and we'll be back for the cross examination. So tomorrow I'll probably, if I go live, I'm gonna be excited about this cross. I might actually wait for the transcript for cross and not do it like this, because I do have a seminar I have to go to tomorrow anyway, so I'm supposed to be gone all day. So what I might do is, yeah, I might get the transcript, because I'm just curious on the like I want to hear. I know that it misses a whole lot, so yeah. So I think that's what we may do. But anyways, if you're a member, I'll let you guys know what the order of service is going to be tomorrow. But I know I won't at noon. I won't be here to actually do what we just did tomorrow, unfortunately. But I sure enjoyed myself, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Tell a friend to tell a friend about Pam Esquire, the Law Intellect. We are covering all things Diddy trial. And thank you guys so much for all of your love and support. If you have not hit that like button, go ahead and hit that like button. Thanks again for all of the super chats and stickers and all of that good things. And subscribe to the channel so you can get notification, and hit the bell so you can get a notification when we do go live. All right, y'all. Thank you so much again for the super sticker. I'll talk to you guys later.